Hello, my beautiful people out there. It's always such an excitement coming your way on Town Meeting TV, on your program, which is centered on disability, METE, meaning I am able. Today's topic for discussion is quite an interesting one. We want to discuss the myths and misconceptions that seem to imply that people with disability cannot live an independent life. And it's as usual, I have with me this great asset of humanity who stands at the forefront to help expel these myths and misconceptions, proving beyond every reasonable doubt that disability is not an inability. For the sake of those of you watching us maybe for the first time, Dr. Sefakor, as we've had in the studios in our previous episodes, happens to be the Director of Diversity, Equity and Inclusion from the College of Nursing and Health Sciences, University of Vermont, and she's also an international advocate on disability rights, a woman who is powerful and speaks for marginalized groups. Welcome, Dr. Sefakor.
Thank you, Auntie Salome, for having me again on METE.
Sure.
I'm able.
I'm so excited when I meet you, especially with the energy that comes around you, helping many people around the globe just to understand that disability is not an inability. So today we want to talk about the myths and misconceptions that people have with people with disability. So the first question is, do we still, in our modern era, still have myths and then misconceptions around on people with disability?
Thank you so much for that question. Yes, we have, even in America.
Wow. Wow. Wow.
Yeah, we do have a lot of myths around disability. Especially it's just because people don't know how they will go about issues of disability, or how they will handle people with disabilities, and because they don't actually also know the values people with disabilities hold in high esteem, values and belief systems that we hold. So people, in other words, create the myth around us. For instance, we have some funny myths around people with physical disabilities. For instance, there is a myth about people who are in wheelchair. People say that they are wheelchair bound, in other words.
Wow.
Yeah, they are sick. They are wheelchair bound. They are not able to leave their wheelchair. And there's a myth that people with disabilities only use ramp, or the ramps that we create for everyone, both nursing mothers, anybody, old age, it's classified for only people in wheelchair. That's a myth. It's not true. Anything that is not true about disability is, some people also believe that, well, our parents' sins have been passed on to us. In other words, we are the punishment of...
Maybe in the religious circles.
Exactly, and that actually comes to the women, like our mothers. Some believe that our mothers are the curse, and then that was passed to us.
Transferred to us.
Exactly. There are some myths also that when you are first born, you are used to be sacrificed in some cultures. So that's a myth, which is not true. There is a myth that the deaf people can never do anything unless they close their eyes. People think that as they are deaf, they have to what? They are blind also.
Wow.
Yes. There is a myth that when you are talking to the blind, you have to shout because they can't see. That's some myth around.
Wow.
Yes, because people think that they're blind because they can't see, they can't hear also. There are so many myths around disability, and it differs from culture to culture.
Okay.
Yes, but the underlying fact is there is a myth in every culture that you go to about people with disabilities.
I really want to hear you speak, because you've done so much research work around issues on disability. Of course, in our part of Africa, we get to know some of the things. We really know what they think and they say about people with disability. But when it comes to this part of the world, where we feel that policy, the environment, people's way of thinking changes, and therefore they must easily accept people with that kind of issues. Why these misconceptions and myths still lingering around the minds of people?
So let me give you an example. At a place, we were fighting for accessible toilet.
Okay.
An accessible toilet isn't for only people with disabilities.
Here in America?
In America.
Okay.
Yes. For a friend who needs that as a reasonable accommodation.
Okay.
And the employer was very, very rude to that extent to say that we are not able to provide accessible toilet for you because it's so expensive.
Wow.
Yes. While
so
that toilet,
expensive.
Yes, that toilet could be used by anybody. That's a myth. So accessible toilet is not for only people with disabilities or people in a wheelchair. It is for everyone. If you are not able to make it as an employer, and that is one thing the person needs, it must be what? Done so that the person can you can meet that person at their pace so that they can be productive at work, right? So this is a person that needs to go to another building where there is what? Accessible toilet, about 3 to 4 blocks.
And the employer expects the employee to give up her uttermost best
in this office. So I would say that here the policies are working. So when these issues pop up like that, what do? We take it to the highest level. You make sure that the law or the system works for you in terms of policy, and you have to have the facts, or you have to know the processes to get your rights issues put out there, or in other words, to advocate for that right.
So did you do that?
We did that.
Okay.
And he had it.
Wow.
Yes. And that is a change-oriented advocacy that we do, especially to let people know that it's not about us, it's about all of us. And the funny thing is, after this toilet is established, it's established for all. It's not for that single person again.
It kind of even raises the image of that institution, because anybody that walks in and finds that facility there tends to feel like, oh, wow, these people are on point, they know what they are supposed to do, and it's a comfortable environment for people. But they wouldn't have known the kind of fight that would have to
behind the scenes.
Exactly,
yes.
Exactly, yes. And that's a good job there. And going to my next question, people normally feel that disability equals suffering. It's a kind of myth that, as for that, it runs across all the cultures of the world. Some people still have that misconception. What do you have to say about that?
What you say right now actually sent me home, especially when you pass through all the agonies that people with disabilities go through. I will not say it is the disability which actually makes them suffer, but it's the system, the society, which complicates issues for them. Here I am here in America. Am I suffering?
No.
That's it. But when I get to Ghana right now, where to move to the next building or where to go to the market when it is time to do something practical, you will know that I will be thinking about my movement, and that becomes a headache. It is, yes, because here I'll just roll around on my scooter and get things done. In fact, things that I do here, I myself am astonished.
You are marveled.
At times that I'm able to do this. By the close of the day, when I'm resting on my bed, I'm like, how did I do all these things, right? Things are accessible. So we don't suffer. When we nullify suffering or when we make it as part of humanity generally, everybody suffers. But it's not our disability which makes us suffer. It's the society which makes the disability very much complicated and prevent us from flourishing, prevent us from being productive, prevent us from doing things that we can do to ourselves and be that type of human, right? So I will get that sense of suffering because of how things are very much far away from me. Let's say, for instance, if I want to do something practical, let's say I want to prepare soup in my own kitchen. Everything is there laid down for me, right? But if I need to go and fetch firewood, need to come back, fetch water, need to come back as much as all those things. So you can see how disability is agonized with poverty, how disability is agonized with other stress. And there you will see that the person with disability is suffering. It's not only in Africa, it happens here too in the US system. When I see the poor person with disability, I know. Wow. And I know how that poverty could have been eradicated in that person's life and that person could also be productive. But because there are so many issues or so many things that entangled or that are blockades for that person, indeed that person will be suffering. It's just because the community or the society, there are some laws. So, okay, let me clarify this for you. I have a friend who genuinely has been manipulated by the system. Policies are laid down, right? Structures are laid down, systems are laid down to take care of people with disabilities.
Sure.
Yes, but some are also harmful. Why? Because this is a program which is well packaged to protect the person with disability in terms of guardianship. We call it guardianship. So guardianship is very good for those who are not able to do certain things on their own. Okay. So at times they have their own parents to be their guardians.
Sure.
But it's very big as a way of also manipulating the person with disability when they want to come out from that guardianship, when they want to be like, I want to be myself. I want to live an independent life. I don't want you, mama. I don't want you to control me anymore. I don't want to have money because they pay them. They pay the guardians to take care of the people. So people have been manipulated in so many ways. Even though they have grown out to be on their own, their guardians are like, no, I'm still your guardian.
You should be under my...
So that I can gain from you. That person will be suffering. Okay. You see how
mental agony.
Yes. So systems, structures, policies can also make us suffer. But it's not the disability that you have
that is making you suffer.
Because people, the society have made things complicated for you. That is why you have to be dwelling on so many complicated issues, which will give you stress, which will give you other things, and you will be in that part of suffering. And of course,
every normal human being also has their own stress.
And that is one thing I said, that there's no normal human being.
Yes, everybody.
Everybody suffers. But yeah, so when people say people with disabilities suffer, it's because you make us suffer. Okay. The system, the society, exactly, because when things are very much accessible and clear and we are included, when we are talking about inclusiveness, it's not about just including us in this party or in this meeting. Participation. When you include us, let us participate and have that equal and equitable access to everything that is happening in that meeting. Okay. That will not let us suffer.
Okay. And then it goes to my next question for you. And we doing this on METE right here on Town Meeting TV because we want to dispel these myths and misconceptions. Do people with disability have a fulfilling life?
Oh, wow.
Because when I read...
It's when I do like this.
You do like this. I understand now. Do you think, and then not only from your experiential knowledge, but from what you have learned so far and the kind of platforms you have been able to get to and speak to people and also take information from people. Do you think that people with disability have a fulfilling life?
We do have.
Okay, tell us about it.
We do have, and it's not easy to have that fulfilling life.
Okay,
Yes.
that's the truth about it.
As I'm sitting down with you here, anybody with disability can sit here. Anybody can have this seat, but some of us have higher hands or supporting system or extra push, that I'll put it.
Okay.
Everybody has that type of fulfilling life depending upon where they set the goal for. In my childhood, as I told you in chapter 4, the mirror, I was psyched to be a doctor. My mom always psyched me at dawn. As I went through that process from the beginning, she calling me every morning.
Doctor?
You are my doctor.
Wow.
You are the most beautiful
Wow.
girl. You are this, you are
Wow.
that. Nobody can surpass you. You are the light in the darkness. All those positive vibes that my mom told me before she died, I never forget them. They are always ringing in my ears. I have to be the doctor. I have to do that, you know. That is a goal I have set for myself. And I know other people with disabilities have set those type of goals for themselves, but they didn't have the push. They didn't have the support. People doubted them. People couldn't push them forward. And that is where at times we will see some of them on the street. Not that they can't do what they have to do. So every person with disability has that fulfilling life if they have the support system from the family, from the community, and from the public in general. Mine came from home. And that's why I challenge people, especially parents, to embrace their children from home, because you cannot give something that you don't have.
Sure.
So if that child doesn't have that self-esteem, that confidence built from childhood, when that child doubts themselves, like, am I the right person? Can I do this? When that child doesn't believe in themselves from the beginning, they lose it from the beginning, the childhood. It is a tree, right? If the root is shaky, or the root...
tree can't stand.
Yes, the trunk, the leaves, any wind can blow it off. Here I am. The fulfilling life that I have, it's not about money. No, it's not about money because I don't have money.
Sure.
But I'm the most happiest person in the world. Because I have set my goals on certain things that I will accomplish. Mine was about education, because my mom told me that you can only add value to yourself when you go to school. That's why I went to school, school here and there. And that is the goal. And everybody sets a goal. Until you set that goal and you accomplish it, you will not be fulfilled.
Before we go, I'll give you the opportunity again to also encourage people with disability so that fulfilling life is a reality. It's something that can happen. Listening to you right now makes me feel like you can't give up. But you need to set the goals, and then you need to get there.
Yeah.
So I also want to know, what are some of the major barriers to employment that persons with disability running through most societies?
Thank you for that question. Major barriers. People, as part of the myth, people think that people with disabilities are not productive.
Well,
so when you employ them, you are not going to gain. In other words, you are going to lose. But that's the direct opposite.
Wow.
Yes, direct opposite of what the myth that they spread around. Because when you employ us, you gain double portion of the gain that you are expecting.
Really?
Yes, for instance, I was a secretary before, and my director, like a PA, personal assistant to the Ghana Education Service director in Sawam. And one thing, that was Dr. Mrs. Loko. She's no more, but she was very clear with how I work with her. She was very clear. She said, Sefakor, anytime that I have PAs, I know that I have to tell them, do this, do this, do this. And then I have to look for them to know where they are in their journey. But for you, every day you are sitting down in this office.
Wow.
Don't you have any place to go? That was a kind woman asking me to go out for fresh air. I know my work. Not that I can't go, but because I know I'm the personal assistant to the whole director, right? I needed to sit down. But she told me she used to look for her PAs because they can
Those who, in quotes, would have thought that they are able.
As a secretary, I made sure that I did everything in order. And when she was asking for reports or anything, she didn't suffer for it. And that is a typical example from me. When it was time for promotion and all those things, it didn't take any time. Everybody was like, you ask for you, we know you are the one. We are so many, we have so many ranks.
It's rather the other way around.
Yes.
They are very productive.
We are very productive because we are always focused to prove you people wrong. Those who said they don't have disability.
Okay.
Anytime that you employ people with disability, you will see the productivity of that person double. You will see how they prove the system wrong. You will see how they bring new ideas. We are very innovative. One example, at UVM, when I finished my PhD, I was like, what do I need to prove myself as an African, as a Black woman, and a person with disability? I thought about...
You were conscious about that?
They're talking about being versatile or innovative. I'm very conscious about that because looking for a job wasn't easy for me. Yes, even though I have the PhD, right? But in this system, coupled with other things, I couldn't get a job as I was thinking or as people thought it could be. But I have to be very much innovative on my own. What did I do? I thought about creating a course.
Okay.
A course for the University of Vermont to sell myself.
Okay.
To tell them that, hey, this is something unique that you don't have. This is something that we can also do. I created the Global Disability Studies course.
Wow.
That course is part of a minor now in the University of Vermont in the Special Education Department under CDCI. It's part of what? Interdisciplinary studies, and it's a prerequisite requirement, Global Disability Studies. I created that and I sold it to them. Let's try it, and they allow me to teach it first summer, second summer, third. And what did this course do? This course was open to the whole world. It's Global Disability Studies. Wherever you are, you can take it. That is how innovative people with disabilities are. If you don't give us the chance, we are not able to explore. We are not able to show you what we carry. We are loaded.
Wow.
We are dynamite.
Wow.
So when you give us the chance, we explode. And then we give you what it entails to work with you. So there is no myth about us. We are very productive.
So then would want to also look at the aspect where we don't want to let it be like giving people the opportunity just because they are feeling pity on them.
No.
But it should be done on merit.
Oh, yes.
This is scrutinized. They look at your resume.
Oh, yes.
They know that this is coming from the right source. And you are due for that position. Sometimes I think with the myths that surround some of these things, maybe they think that people want to be pitied, just to say sorry, and then also want to push them there, even if they are not with merits. Is that the case?
Yeah, it's the case because of how the myth surrounds us, how we are lack of education, how the fact that we don't want to progress or we don't want to elevate the person with disability. You know, for instance, when we are having some things, let's say sports or Miss Ghana, or like there are certain things that we spend money on, but we will not spend it on people with disabilities.
Okay.
Yes, so definitely people with disabilities need a push by the families, by their community, by the systems, right?
The government.
By the government, everybody. I don't believe in the government because they promise a lot of things. Yes, maybe I'll just say that loud again, that I just believe that if you and I come together right now, the change that we want, we will see it. Practically, the person with disability who is doing cleaning job in Walmart, or the person with disability who is doing just any type of lesser job we would think about it, it's not because of that person's disability. It's because of how we think we can fix that person.
Okay.
And ideally, that job should be done by anybody. Anybody, not only the person with disability who should be the one cleaning or looking after the trash cans and all those things, or just bagging food. That could be a work for everyone, not because of that person's disability. So in terms of government support and everything, I believe that if you and I put it into practice and say that this is one thing that we are doing intentionally to empower the people with disabilities, well, I would say that the pity part comes in when we are exploited. Okay. When we are exploited, or when we are used as a tool of gain, like people use people with disability to gain, at that point in time, that person looks at himself, insignificant. If I should be used, if you should be using me to gain anything that you have, I don't have myself anymore. My self-dignity is erased out of me. So the pity part is made, it's well packaged for us. That's why you will find some people, the pity part. And as for me, when I'm working with those type of people, like I'm working with youth or employer, I take the pity part from you first, as a person with disability, that build yourself with some pride. And as we say, we have even a program, a workshop called Disability Pride, that we build the pride of people with disability in them to love themselves, to reject certain things, to say that, no, that is not my portion, because people don't expect us to say no.
And we call it self-esteem.
Yes.
To boost you up.
Yes.
To understand
especially
who
when you are in education, in employment, you don't want people to trample upon you. Especially, you can reject a type of position, or you can reject some gifts.
It's fine.
Yeah, as a person with disability. Some of my people don't believe in that because they have been embracing anything dump on them.
Thrown on them.
Exactly. So that pity part becomes reality if the person loses themselves or the dignity that they have. And that is also done by systems again.
I just want to let the cat out of the bag as we having conversations around these issues. Very soon we'll be having the entrepreneurship program around people with disabilities. We want to let people know that these are people that are entrepreneurs. They are managers of themselves. They are innovative. They are talented. They have everything that it takes. And therefore, on METE, on Town TV, Town Meeting TV, we are here to project that to everybody. So we're using this opportunity to let you know that disability is not an inability. Your last comments, just under 1 minute before we go. My time is running out.
Hello, everyone on METE. I'm able. It is time again to just be ourselves, build ourselves with that self-confidence, pride, and also be able to do something small in our own special way. The power of METE is to come out from that shadows, to tell yourself in a very small way, in fact, in any way that you can help yourself, or in any way that you can help a person with disability. For instance, if you are making a call to the restaurant, that you are going out with some friends, even if you don't have any physical disability among you, a person with that disability, ask the restaurant, is your place accessible? Example is when they say no, try to move forward and ask them and do some education that if they do that, other people will also come there because the place is accessible. So people with disabilities can explore if we give them the opportunity in the community. We are not useless at all. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Sefakor. And let's all remember that every small step each one of us will take towards inclusion is a giant leap towards a more compassionate, equal, and empowered world for all of us. Thank you again. I'm Salome Oforiwaa here on Town Meeting TV. Thank you.